approximately 5:46 or 5:47. We are holding the board meeting by Zoom, but it's also being live broadcast on YouTube. I want to welcome staff and the board and members of the public that might be listening in.
And
with that,
for the recording, it's actually 4:57, not 5:57, just so that we are on the same timeline.
Okay.
Just yes.
So we'll have the call to order and roll call. Mr. Anderson.
Here.
Mr. Block.
Here.
Mr. Turner.
Here.
Ms. Campbell is not present this evening. Mr. Mandrick is here. So we have 4 board members present. That's a quorum. We are being able to hold the meeting on a Zoom based on Senate Bill 361. And in order to do that, we have to pass board resolution each meeting that we do that. And so I will entertain a motion to pass SB 361 board resolution. Mr. Turner.
Yes, I move to approve SB 361.
And the second, Mr. Anderson, second.
Second.
Okay, be a roll call vote. All those in favor, Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Block,
Yes.
Mr. Turner,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell's not present, myself, yes. That moves us on to public comment. Is there any public comment?
Mr. Vice President, there are no public comments tonight.
Then that moves us to the superintendent's update, and the superintendent is ready to go.
Happy to do so. I know we were without Miss Lily Campbell, but still want to recognize that last weekend was Mother's Day, and hopefully all the mothers were honored and recognized. As we often say, you know, either you have a mother, you are a mother, you know a mother, you've been mothered, all of that we want to honor still, even though that was this weekend, and make sure everybody had their moment to just recognize those people in their lives. We want to tell you that we have only 3 weeks. In fact, somebody who's counting will tell us it's a little bit less than 3 weeks, but we have 3 weeks left in the school year, which is really hard to believe. It's just gone by so fast here at the end, as is usually true, and we're all trying to focus on finishing strong. Additionally, last week we were on a big call with Flippin', and we found out that all 9 of our schools have once again been named as Capturing Kids' Hearts National Showcase Schools. It's still quite an honor. Some of our schools, this is their 3rd time. Others, I believe it might be their 9th or 10th time, but all of our schools were given this prestigious award. And we are still waiting to hear in terms of whether or not the GCC is a district nominee. We're a district nominee, but whether or not we'll get the status of it. So we will let you know when we know that. We had 3 schools, actually technically 5 schools, undergoing WASC this last year. And COA and CCCS, and then the SAVA, 3 SAVAs, but they were combined this year into one for WASC at the request of the WASC coordinator. So technically all of our SAVA schools, our CCCS and COA, have all successfully been accredited. They received each of them a 6-year WASC accreditation with a midterm review. And we're very excited about those outcomes. Kudos to staff for all their hard work in preparing those WASC reports, as well as hosting the WASC visits. This is National Charter Schools Week, and we are celebrating in a variety of ways at our sites, as well as in community outreach activities. Hopefully everybody's blasting out on social media as well. Really, we're at a time where we're under a bit of attack federally, and would really like to see a big presence on social media for National Charter Schools Week. This last week, we celebrated the Certificate Employee Recognition Week at our sites. That's primarily teachers, but we have teachers, counselors, nurses, and others. And in the central office, we also held a Certificated Employee Recognition event. And really want to thank everyone, especially as we're at the heels of all of the pandemic outcomes and situations and challenges. Certainly want to recognize all of our credentialed employees. Next week, we'll be doing the same with our classified employees. In a few short weeks, we will be having our GCC end of year event. We're looking forward to honoring staff and celebrating. We will once again be asking the board to create snippets of video that we will put together and play for staff at the end of year event. Want you to be aware, if you are not from reading the local news, local public health are letting us know that we have an increase in COVID case rates. We continue at our sites to implement health and safety protocols. We include testing kits that we're providing for students and staff. We're continuing to follow all appropriate mandates, such as staff is still required to be vaccinated or test every week. And we will continue also to let people know what best practice is as these numbers, as we monitor these numbers. As we get closer to the end of the school year, myself and other members of cabinet attend a variety of AXA meetings, including my participation in the AXA Superintendents Council. In the coming weeks, in the next few days, actually, we will be having the Governor's May Revise released and economic impact, and we'll be attending conferences and workshops in relation to that. Yesterday, we concluded, I say we for the first time, the Superintendent Spring presentation because Jason Sample presented some of the material with me for the Superintendent Spring presentations. It has been a great experience to update staff on key initiatives, program updates, organizational updates, and we also had an activity to get feedback on our blueprint for excellence and our organizational goals. A few short weeks back, we had a number of us attend the AXA North State Conference, which was again the first time it was back in person. And I really want to give a shout out to Tara Jones, Summer Ash, and Dr. Erin Marston, who together with myself presented on building a culture of multipliers. And even though it was the first session on a Saturday morning, we had a full house. We had to bring chairs in from outside, and the team did a great job presenting. Very proud of the GCC and the work we're doing. As I've shared with you before, this year I attended a year-long program for the AASA National Principal Supervisors Program, and I have just completed the requirements for that. And next year we will be sending 3 of our directors, Maury Elliott, Heather Gold, and Joy Takoi, to attend, because we're going to incorporate significant parts of that program into our own work with our principals. This week, I'm in the midst of attending a 3-day leadership symposium by Ed Week, which is really talking about issues and challenges confronting leaders today, particularly just the adapting and the learning around the changing educational environment due to pandemic. Also, we want to make you aware that we continue to support our newcomer and refugee families. We are, in fact, seeing a number of families coming into our schools. This last week, we had over 70 new families enroll into one of our schools, particularly COA, GIS Futures, and EPIC. As I think we've shared with you before, this is a bit of the tip of the iceberg. Last weekend, Director Sergei Terabkov and Mr. Ivan Leshuk from COA attended and presented at a community event hosted by the County Social Services and the U.S. government, and spoke to the GCC and our vision, mission, and heart and ability to serve the needs as an educational partner for incoming families. So a lot going on, a lot more will be going on in the next few weeks, but that's the superintendent's update for this board meeting.
I want to thank you for that update. Are there any board members with questions for the superintendent? If not, that will move us into item number 5 on the agenda, which is a study session. And EPIC is our first presenter this evening. I see we have a great lineup of EPIC staff here with us. So I'll turn it over to the superintendent to.
Yes, I want to be sure that I recognize EPIC in the house, our very own Dr. Jerry Kosh, who's been with us for a very long time in a variety of roles and successfully serving our EPIC site as principal, and his EPIC vice principal, Dr. MJ Kiwan Gomez, who I want to say first, participating in his first annual presentation, I believe, to the board. And then Ms. Nina Samiriak, who is also a longtime administrator and part of the administrative team at EPIC. And so we are looking forward to this team presenting to the board today their annual school report. So we will turn it over to you, Dr. Kosh.
Dr. Kosh, I think you are muted.
Yeah, we are not hearing you, Jerry.
I think we're good now. Can you hear me okay, Dr. Peterson?
Yes, I can hear you, but we are seeing your screen not in presentation mode. And we're kind of, there you go.
There you go.
All right, sounds good. Glad to get all those technical details squared away. And it's my pleasure to go first in our presentations and bat leadoff, so to speak, and share some of the wonderful things about EPIC. I'd like to say good evening to the board, Dr. Peterson, cabinet, all of our special guests. As I mentioned, I'm Dr. Kosh, the principal of EPIC, and I'd like to welcome you to our 21-22 board presentation virtually, and hopefully next year we can do it in person. At least that's my hope, to see you all. It's been a long time. And before I continue, I'd like to introduce our wonderful admin team. As Dr. Peterson mentioned, we have Dr. Kiwan Gomez, our vice principal here tonight, and Ms. Nina Semeriuk, our site administrator. And both of them are going to be assisting me in our presentation tonight. So without further ado, that takes us to good things, keeping in line with our Capturing Kids' Hearts focus here at EPIC. And I'm proud to announce that EPIC has been recognized as a national showcase school for the 4th time. And you see here to the right, just one example of how well we use our social contracts here at EPIC. Here you have a student greeting Miss Nina in a 2nd grade classroom, which is something that you see regularly here on campus at EPIC. Very proud. I know we've been working to grow our Spanish program here at EPIC for many years, and we have the highest number of students that we've ever had in K-5 Spanish. We have 40 students. And here on the right, you see a group of students taking their Spanish class with our Spanish teacher, Miss Rossi, who's doing a wonderful job. We've worked to transform our after-school program. Now it's a full-blown ACES program, and we have music here. We've added esports. I believe we were the first school in GCC to do that. So very proud. The students are loving that. They're competing against other schools in different games online. We have martial arts happening. Down in the right bottom right-hand corner, you see our students participating in martial arts. We have chess club being taught by a state-recognized chess pro. So we're looking forward to getting our students involved in some competitions there. We have robotics happening, and we're working with the new organization called Alivo, who you're going to hear about later in the program. They do active games with students and connect the games to social emotional learning. So I'm being told that we're on our way to being a model ACES school, which is something that I'm very proud of. And last but certainly not least, I'm very excited in the direction that our enrollment is taking. Back in October 21, which was only 7 months ago, our enrollment at Seabed's time was 302 students. And now we have 335 sitting in our seats, which is awesome. And looking at our new enrollment list for next year, we're projecting 395, and we expect the majority of those to come. So something to be very excited about. that EPIC's enrollment is looking like it's going to be, almost back to normal next year. So I'm very excited about that. At EPIC, student achievement and the use of data to inform our instruction are always key things that we're looking at each year. Since 2019, there hasn't been any formal data released from the state or a California dashboard in relating to CAS for formal attendance data or EL progress indicators. But that doesn't mean that EPIC is not always looking for data. We've been using whatever we have to inform our teaching and instruction. And in 2021-22, we began using iReady in reading and math to measure student growth. And we're getting a tremendous response from teachers and from families about iReady. It's really helped us to differentiate instruction and really attack some of the learning loss that took place during distance learning. And as you see, we're getting over 95% of our students participating. So we're getting really good data. And we're doing our end of the year data like next week. That's one of the disadvantages of going first. But I'm proud to share our mid-year data. If you see in reading here on the slide, we went from 10 to 24% of students who are at or above the standard. And in math, we saw growth from 7 to 28%. And that was just from fall to January. So we're expecting that those numbers are going to be even higher when we look at our end of the year data. So we're really excited about that. And last but certainly not least, chronic absenteeism is always a goal at EPIC. And we've put in place some fabulous processes for getting students work who are unable to be in school this year. But just to put it bluntly, reducing chronic absenteeism in the world of COVID was a significant challenge. And I just want to rest assured that we did our best at addressing that this year, doing the best we can. So some of the work that I'm the most proud of at EPIC, I know we do a lot of great things, is our work with student speaking and listening skills, which is one of our 4 main goals that's based on all the data that we've analyzed over the past few years. So one of the things, and it just happens to be that I've been working with Dr. Peterson on a special project relating to this. She's been really intimately involved with our work in this through the AASA coaching project. And it's just a testament for how the GCC comes together with our sites to make great things happen regarding student learning. So I totally appreciate all the work that we did, Cindy, and it was just wonderful. And not only did Dr. Peterson play an active role in designing and helping us shape this work, but I also want to give a shout out to Dr. Gold, who spent 2 days here at EPIC doing professional development with our teachers on the speaking and listening standards and its connection to literacy. And the feedback from our staff was that this was some of the best professional development that they've ever received. So I want to shout out for Dr. Gold for not only being visible on our campus, but actually really bringing tangible strategies for our teachers to use. So here on the right, you see 2 pictures. The top 2 pictures are our professional learning. You see Dr. Gold's in both pictures doing some instruction as well as facilitating some collaboration of groups as they're looking at their grade level standards. So long story short, teachers looked at their standards. They chose one to focus on. They also looked at the standards below their grade level and above their grade level so they could see where students were coming from and where they're going. And then they came up with measurable objectives that were observable, the high priority instructional practices that they were going to use to get students to meet the standards in the classroom. And then we created checklists, and admin has been in every classroom observing this work. And the teachers are just doing a wonderful job. And we created a listening assessment here at EPIC that is implemented 3 times a year. We've implemented it twice this year, and we're proud to announce that between fall and winter, 86% of the classrooms showed growth, and we're hoping and expecting that the number will be higher when we analyze our data in the spring. And then the bottom 2 pictures are me or MJ or Nina in classrooms observing this work taking place and taking pictures. The one on the classroom on the left is a 5th grade classroom, and the classroom on the right is a 2nd grade classroom. All right, so that takes us to Coherence. and the great work that we've done. You might have seen this document before. This is a living document at Epic. It's in every classroom. You won't be able to walk around campus without seeing this. We talk about this regularly at staff meetings. This is our instructional framework, and it's a living guiding document at Epic. If you look here on the right, you'll see these are the non-negotiables of what we ask our teachers to do. And it actually gets more specific, and it's done by grade level as well. But this is the overarching document. We're really proud that all of our goals, we've worked really hard to get a true sense of coherence at Epic, where all of our goals are streamlined, whether there are 4 CSI goals, whether there are WASC goals, whether there are SIPSA goals, whether they're ELCAP goals, they're all streamlined into the 4 goals that I'm going to mention in the next slide when I get to the coherence work that we're doing. So we revisit the framework regularly. It serves as a guide to what makes Epic great. And we do these systematically, and it's reviewed and edited on a yearly basis as changes need to be made to this. And that takes us to our continued work. I'd like to affirm Wendy York and LTL 360 for helping us implement our CSI plan. And as I mentioned, the CSI plan, as you see here on the right, these are also our other goals in WASC and SIPSA. So everything's streamlined. The 4 goals have to do with chronic absenteeism and reducing it, improving math instruction, improving ELA instruction, relating to informational text and listening skills. So you see our work with AASA and the coaching is linked to our 4 main goals. So we're creating a big coherent picture of everything here at Epic. And it's something that I'm really proud of. We've worked hard to do this over the last few years. So our coherence team, we look at these 4 goals. We have 3 cycles of inquiry that we conduct where all 4 goals are addressed. We look at data, we look at the actions that we're doing, we look at the progress, we take it to the whole staff, we get feedback, and then after each cycle of inquiry, we look at everything and we revise the plan if necessary. So the CSI plan's a living document. It's been a very successful process. I want to affirm Dr. McCormick. She's sat in and been an integral part of this as well. So I'm just, as far as our academic work and our coherence work at Epic, it's just something I'm very proud of. And I want to thank all of GCC for their support in this work because I think it's very valuable. So that takes us to ELCAP action. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Nina, who's going to share the next few slides. Ms. Nina.
Yes, good evening, everybody. It is my pleasure to be with you and share some good things about Epic. So Epic has worked hard to ensure that all of our instructional materials are current and standards aligned. So you can see the picture of math expression that we use for our K-5 math, and also we're using ELA study things, math demo, and history alive for our middle schools. Epic is also proud that we were able to continue our professional learning and training during COVID and staff shortage. Our teacher had some IB collaboration time, math trainings, LTL 360 lesson study, and we were able to work on listening skills. And I would like to affirm Chelsea McLaren from SCOI for leading our math trainings. Because of that trainings, Epic now is a model school, and we are receiving visitors from other schools in district to absorb our mathematics instructions. And the other thing is we are proud of that the Epic technology is at least 1-to-1 ratio, and our teachers are very creative to make a balance between technology and face-to-face instruction. So you can see in the picture that students are using technology and group work and other type of collaboration with teacher and students. And I would like to affirm our teachers for working hard, seeing balance between technology and face-to-face learning. Next slide. And that takes us to curriculum and ELCAP action. Epic used ECCSER funding to hire more peer educators to support our students in the class. And we are so proud that we were able to expand our world language program. We hired Spanish-speaking para to teach Spanish in elementary school. And also EPIC art program maintained excellent during significant staff shortage. So you can see some art projects in a picture and Spanish lesson. And also EPIC invested significant money in improving K-5 PYP classroom library. We purchased books that related to 10 IB learning profiles. So as well, you can see the pictures. So that is very great, and teachers were so happy to have extra books related to IB. Thank you. Next slide.
All right, Dr. Kiwan Gomez is going to take over here for a few slides. Dr. Kiwan
Thank you,
Gomez.
Dr. Kosh. Thank you, Nina. It's great to be here. We all thought that this year was going to be really challenging. It has had its challenges, but I'm here to celebrate with you. It's been a fantastic year for us at EPIC and the GCC. And part of that's been our work that we've done in equity and inclusion and diversity. And so I'm part of a group of administrators who are working on improving our school climates, and we're getting some positive feedback. So at EPIC, we recognize that equity does not mean equality, it means meeting the needs of all students. And so fortunately, we've been able to do several things that stand out most. For example, working with iReady, we've been able to differentiate instruction and remediate learning loss for structurally disadvantaged students. We've also used a program called Imagine Learning, which allows us to gauge and provide adaptive learning for our students and meet our English learners' needs. And then we offered our after-school program with intensive differentiated instruction in English, language arts, math, and all those wonderful programs that you heard about earlier. And so like Jerry mentioned earlier, our growth has been not just in population, but also in diversity. We're happy to say that we now have 5.3% of EPIC students identifying as Hispanic and Latino, and fortunately our populations continue to grow. Next slide, please. Thank you. All right, another wonderful celebration is we started off the year building our partnerships with our community. And part of that was reaching out to organizations, both in the public sector and the private sector. I'd like to thank Dr. Kosh and Nina for holding down the fort while I went out and met some of our wonderful neighbors in the community. And we reached out to UC Davis firefighters and invited them to our multicultural festival. We had musicians from River City High School Band, the school where EPIC students tend to go to. And we also had Sacramento State musicians. It was a wonderful celebration. I'd like to thank all of our teachers and staff who gave up their Saturday, knowing that we had to make great gains in the middle of a pandemic with those awful masks we all had to wear. We all went outside on Saturday and we enjoyed this wonderful day with food provided by Tony's UNFI, lots of raffle prizes from Home Depot, Lowe's, and our community partners. In fact, we had a large workbench that one of our families was very happy to win. Everybody was very excited. We even had a petting zoo. It was so nice to see Mr. Sample, Deputy Superintendent Sample, and his family came out, and everybody who came out. We're looking forward to being able to do that again next fall. And so I'd like to thank again our staff that gave up their day to come out and enjoy. And also we've been working with our community leaders, Sergey Terepkov, David Monrelos, and Maisha with social media. And we've been on Facebook. We've gotten some leads from there. We've been qualifying those leads. Where are people finding out about our wonderful school? It is a hidden secret in West Sacramento. We don't want it to be hidden. We want everybody to know. So we've had the flyers out. We've had the signage out. We've been shaking hands with as many people who can. And we've been on KCRA on the television. We've been working with radio and print media. Happy to say that lots of people are finding out, and we're growing. That's great news. Additionally, I'd like to thank David Manuelos for introducing us to Yolo County Food Bank. It's been an awesome gift to our community. Our kids look forward every other week to getting surprised by all the wonderful, fresh, delicious produce, rice, almonds. We even had pistachios. I don't know how they did that, but we are so happy to have that. And also our partnerships this summer with the YMCA. We're excited. We're able to offer, I think it was close to $2,000 worth of programs that the YMCA offers for free for all of our EPIC students from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. So thank you, Dr. Kosh, for doing that. Nina and all of our staff for supporting us. Next slide, please.
Yes, that's me again. And social emotional, it's very big for us. And during this year, we focused a lot on cell model, and we continued our monthly students and staff recognition through the IB Learner Profiles, academic awards, And we focused on positive intensives like cut being good, student store, ice cream, pizza, and popcorn parties. And a cell model was highly implemented in our ACES program. We have partnership with LEVEL program that focused on play and games in ACES program. And also we added some new activities during the lunch, such as dancing, ping pong, art, air hockey, cornhole, and many other activities for our students. And I would like to affirm Dr. Gold for guiding us in ACES program development. And I would like to affirm Dr. Kevin Gomez, our vice principal, and Victor, our ACES supervisor, and our awesome ACES peers for program expansion and improvement. Thank you very much. Next slide.
All right, thank you, Ms. Nina and Dr. Kiwan Gomez. And in 2021-22, we made great strides in integrating conversations about social emotional learning, academic excellence, and equity into all aspects of our work at EPIC, including our coherence work and cycles of inquiry. So, the goal is that all of these are not done in isolation, that they're integrated. And we're even trying to take another step is to not exactly, call them out as this, but just to make it a part of what we do and the questions that we ask. So, for example, as we handle issues or new decisions about EPIC, we ask ourselves questions relating to these, such as we always ask ourselves, does this decision promote equity and cultural competency for our students? Does this decision promote academic growth and knowledge for all of our students? And does this decision promote social emotional well-being for all of our students? So I just kind of put together a little example here because I know these three things stated by themselves are in isolation, but you're going to see where I'm going on how they combine to form a sense of impact. So for academic excellence, you could say the tenets of IB, student agency and inquiry-based, project-based learning, that they're all leading to higher level engagement that we're seeing in our classrooms. In social emotional learning, that you can see from our past slides, we're making it intentional to incorporate play and having fun into many functions of our school to go along with the academics. And as far as equity, we're seeing that our newcomers who are coming from many different cultures, that they're assimilating into our school, and that we're developing culturally competent students just by how we're seeing our new students being integrated into EPIC so well. So one example would be that if you look at the data, because I just said that our students are safe, happy, and engaged. Well, how can we show that? We can show that through our National Showcase School Survey through the data below that shows that these three are being incorporated because students are responding, and this is manifesting by 96% of their students believe that teachers care about them, which is pretty good. 92% believe that EPIC teachers treat them nicely, and then 90% of students like their teachers at EPIC and like coming to school on most days. And these numbers were much, much higher than the National Showcase School targets or averages, which is one of the reasons why. But students being safe, happy, and engaged just shows that all three are coming together at EPIC in a way that we intend for them to.
Thank you, Dr. Kosh. So what's next? We're going to continue to sustain our IB excellence, aiming for fully authorized IB World School. We're going to continue excellence in CKH implementation, focusing on research-based mathematics, instruction, and best practices. I want to affirm Chelsea McClellan from Sacramento County Office of Education does such a phenomenal job with our teachers, and continue to focus on instructional coaching. Ms. Nina's been doing a fantastic job with our teachers as well, working K-5, and we're looking to reach our enrollment target of 400 students, continuing to work in enhancing equity, social emotional learning at EPIC through multi-tiered systems of support. And I want to thank Dr. Gold for her leadership in that area as well. And then we're going to continue to reach out to the community to increase cultural diversity among staff and students at EPIC.
Thank you. That concludes our presentation, and I would like to open it up for questions. And before I do that, I would like to affirm, I believe everybody in here except Ms. O'Meara has been affirmed so far, and I just want to do an overall affirmation to Mr. Sample, Dr. Peterson, Dr. McCormick, and Ms. Randa for the wonderful job that they do in supporting EPIC. We greatly appreciate it, and EPIC would not be the school that it is without all of the wonderful responsiveness that we get from our cabinet and leaders at GCC.
Well, thank you very much for the presentation. I thought that really hit the ball out of the park. So I think there are questions, comments from board members at this point. Mr. Block. Need to unmute, sir. We can't hear you, Harry.
I had to get to it. It was blocking.
You're with us.
I love the presentation. One of the things that I was really got out of this was the social skills that are being taught. I think that's something that has been falling apart because we've been concentrating so hard on all the other things that need to be done. But those social skills is really what's needed today. And I appreciate that very much.
Thank you, Mr. Block.
Other comments, Mr. Turner.
Oh, yes. An excellent presentation, Jerry, and I want to congratulate you and your staff. Do you have any, a little on the students that are enrolling from the crisis in Ukraine, do you have any of those students in your program?
Yes, we do. We've welcomed them with open arms, and they're assimilating into EPIC culture wonderfully so far. So it's been really smooth and nice.
Are you having any special problems in the integration into your program at all, or is it? I just want to get an insight on how it's working.
No, they've been doing great. Where we enrolled them, we're working to assimilate them, and they're doing great. We buddying them up with other students, and we've really made an effort to make them feel welcome, and it's running great so far.
You don't need any special support on English as a second language or anything like this, working with the population?
Well, of course, we're getting more of them, and we always have an excellent program of ELD here at EPIC. I mean, EPIC's not new to getting newcomers, so it's just we have a little bit more of a volume, but I guarantee you our ELD program is going to be tight and we're running great next, I mean, it is now, but obviously we're going to have more of them, but we do have the staffing that can do great things for our newcomers. Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Anderson.
Jerry, great job as usual, and staff, great presentation, a lot of growth, can see a lot of that. One question I have, and this is really kind of in the weeds, but you mentioned robotics. What are you doing in that area?
Can I turn that over to MJ? They're doing. He might have more details as far as the robotics program because he runs ACES. But they're going online and they're doing robots on an online platform.
Oh.
Yeah, I can help out. Great. So we're excited to say that we expanded our coding program and invested into kits where the students were partnered up, and as a preparation for getting into esports, because esports is also very excited, but we left esports, which is competitive gaming online, for our middle school students. So prior to getting into that, we used the Lego robotics kits for students to assemble and follow a process and then program their robots. So beginning with coding, moving into programming robots and creating them, and then moving into collaborative gaming in the middle school. So it's really an amazing, robust program that we have at EPIC, and I'm sure it's going to be a reason many more students are going to want to join us.
Yeah, I would think a lot more students want to gravitate to that. Is this the first year you've done that, or is this a continuation from last year?
This is the first year that we've moved into Lego robotics and esports.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Other comments from board members? Well, we really appreciate your time. And on your impact slide where you showed the survey relative to how students perceive their school and their teachers and whatever. That was very impressive numbers on there. And I think that just sets the stage for all the rest of the learning that's going on. And I also think it sets the stage for what Jack was getting to, having new people coming into the system. And when you have that kind of a positive impact from your students and parents, new people coming in have got to feel welcome. So thank you for that.
Definitely. If I could just add, I want to affirm Team Epic. Great presentation and a great team that is dedicated to the best outcomes for our students in West Sacramento, and really appreciate. They had a little bump at the beginning of the year where we were kind of scratching our heads about our enrollment and a little small decline. And they've just really worked hard and turned that around as well. So just really want to affirm all three members of the EPIC leadership team here.
Thank you, Dr. Peterson, and thank you, board, for all of your unwavering support. We couldn't do it without you. Hope you enjoy your treat that we sent in your box, and that you received all of the, and that you're nuts about EPIC, the almonds that we sent you.
It's my favorite, Jerry.
Okay. Oh, good. I'm glad they're mine too.
All right, we're going to go ahead.
Okay, very good. We're going to move to COA, and it's kind of a combined performance. And I see we have a cast of thousands here for us, and really looking forward to your performance.
So I will kind of introduce them as I did our team EPIC. So it only feels like cast of thousands. It is a tight team that you have before you today. And just a reminder that for this year, we did a little reconfiguring, and we put our longstanding excellent principal of community outreach elementary school, Ms. Larissa Gonchar, into a director role over both the elementary and the middle school programs. And we took our two longstanding successful vice principals that had served under her, and we in fact moved Ms. Tatiana Cassell to middle school as a campus principal, and Mr. Michael Surti stayed at the elementary school as a campus principal. So their roles have expanded greatly. And for Dr. Kissel, the grade level has changed, which was a little more challenging, certainly. Two of our very well received and excellent curriculum coaches then moved up into vice principal roles, and that is Ms. Nicole Strobel and Mr. Daniel Diego. So that's our team of 5 that you have today. And I just really want to, as we introduce them, affirm them. It's been not an easy year to jump into expanded roles in leadership with kind of the many problems and challenges of COVID, but they have really stuck it out and stayed in the trenches doing the hard work under Director Gonchar's leadership. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Team COA.
Good afternoon, Board Vice President Bruce Mengrick, Superintendent Dr. Cindy Peterson, GCC board members, and GCC cabinet. I want to thank you for taking the time and allow us the honor to present Community Outreach Academy to you and show the wonderful things we have accomplished this school year. And again, I would like to introduce my administrators. I have Michael Surti, our elementary school campus principal, along with Nicole Strobel, our elementary vice principal. Also, Dr. Tanya Kissel, our middle school campus principal, and Dr. Diego, our middle school vice principal. And I would like to talk about good things. Next our slide, next one. We have very many good things happening at our school, and I would like to highlight just a few of them. Here at COA, we pride ourselves to have whatever it takes culture. We always go above the standards for our students. because we believe that our students are worth the absolute best from us. We are also proud to be a CKH National Showcase School for the 6th time in a row. We are very proud of our strong community connections and solid enrollment. Recently, we had our WASC visit and renewed our accreditation for another 6 years. And of course, there is so many more good things happening at COA, but these are just some of the highlights for you. On the next slide, we sent out parent survey recently, and I would like to highlight just a few of the results that we received. 93% of our parents said that our campus on the elementary side is very clean and safe for our children. 92% stated that our teachers are professional, knowledgeable, and they receive information in a timely manner. A high percentage of parents believe that students are receiving a quality education at COA. One of the most appreciated results that we receive is that a vast majority of our students enjoy going to school. I'm so proud of our school and knowing that all of our hard work is being recognized by our parents brings me so much joy. On the next slide, of course, we can't be perfect in every way. So we have some ongoing areas of focus to help us continue to improve on a regular basis. We will continue to make the merging of elementary and middle schools. We continue to strive for student excellence in academics and college readiness program, and we will continue to focus on social emotional learning and highlight the importance of diversity and equity among our students and staff members. And we will continue to build a positive relationship with all stakeholders and community. On the next slide, I would like to introduce or invite our vice principals, Ms. Nicole and Dr. Diego.
Hello, thank you, Larissa. So I'm going to talk about our iReady. And before I get started on looking at the data that will be highlighted on this slide, I just want to let you know we test iReady 3 times in August, December, and in May. And the reason why we do the diagnostic 3 times is so that we are able to watch the progress of our students throughout the year. So the August diagnostic gives us our baseline of where our students are at the beginning. And then we test them again in December to see where they've made progress for half of the year. And then again in May to see where they finish out the year. And this data is very important because it gives us a complete picture of our student performance relating to their grade level standards as well as national norms. So if you see here, this is our reading information for grades K through 8th, and you'll see that I've highlighted a grade level, 2nd grade, to discuss. So you'll see diagnostic 1 in this column for mid or above grade level. We started with 4 students in that area, and in December we were able to move to 23 students. In the next column, the lighter green, we have students on grade level. They started with 9 students in that column, and we moved to 23. The yellow column is students 1 grade level below, and they started at 68 and moved to 79. So as you can see throughout this trend, we're moving students closer and closer to where we want them to be. And I'm most proud of, if you look at the 2 grade levels or below of the red, the light red, you'll see that we started with 106 students in that, and we were able to move students out of that, and now we only had 61. So that growth is huge for us, and it's able to show us that we are making progress towards our goals. It will go on the next slide. We have our math, and if you look at the highlighted, we're now going to talk about our 6th grade. So the same trend follows for the data that we just previously looked at for reading. In our 6th grade, teachers are doing a great job in moving their students forward as well and closing those gaps. Due to the learning loss from the pandemic, we are noticing that a greater number of our students are below grade level or 2 or 3 grade levels below. And this is something that we haven't necessarily dealt with in the past. So we're doing everything we can to analyze this data and use it to move our students closer and closer to being on grade level or even above grade level. iReady is a wonderful program that we've been able to utilize this year for the first time. It promotes equitable access to show student growth for every student, no matter their background. And that's because most programs only use the national norms, but iReady uses the standards as well. So we're able to see a picture of where our students are in each domain and what supports they need specifically. This allows us to not only support our general education students who are just performing at a regular level, but also to work with our students who are IEP kids or intervention. And it allows us to look at those domains and see where their greatest struggles are and where we need to continue to support them with more tiered intervention support, or even working with our RSP teacher to ensure adequate and specific support for our students with IEPs. And it allows us to see if the supports that we have on their IEPs are in fact accurate, or if we need to go back and have some addendums to their supports. This data has been a huge part of our work this year, along with our grade levels looking at the data and our coherence. I'm now going to turn it over to Dr. Daniel Diego to talk about curriculum and further about our coherence.
Thank you, Nicole. Now, to build on what Nicole had just described with some of our iReady data and the things that we did, I wanted to take it a step further and talk about what we did this year with relation to our school implementation plan and a few other things. When we started this year, we came together and we knew post-pandemic, we've got to come together differently. We've got to look deficits, big picture, come together as a team. And so what we did is at both sites, we came together, we developed what we call a school implementation plan, began with data analysis, much like Nicole just showed. From there, we looked at deeply into the data to look at deficits, working with our teams, our leadership groups, to identify areas of need, areas of focus, success indicators, supports that were needed for our students. We recognized reading comprehension and vocabulary was a major need. And so that's where our focus was. From that school implementation plan that we created, we then went into cycles of inquiry throughout the year. This was done with grade levels, with teams using student work analysis protocol. We introduced this protocol at the middle school level again, and we looked at student data. We came together several times throughout the year to try to figure out, okay, what is the data telling us? What are our next steps? And then we were also training a lot of new teachers in how to look at data this way, how to use this common protocol so that next year we can continue. That's just one piece of some of the data analysis that we did. From there, we funneled down. We met with our as curriculum coaches and vice principals with individual teachers to look at, hold data meetings, look at their class as it is, and look at, okay, success indicators, next steps, things like that. What can we do? And then we're coming together as a whole school to share ideas, brainstorm, figure it out. What are we going to try? Where do we go next? Now, the next slide, I want to talk a little bit deeper, kind of connecting it, but I want to talk more about our professional development and some of the things. So as we're doing our school implementation plan, we're analyzing data, we're recognizing the need of certain supports. We looked at a number of things and we said, man, we've got to engage our staff in some meaningful professional learning. One big thing we did was the Building Thinking Classrooms math professional development in correlation or in conjunction with Sacramento County Office of Ed. This was based on some new research, a really cool book, and really amazing strategies. We looked at our curriculum that was being adopted at the elementary level and figured out how to get them support. As a curriculum coach and vice principal, we met with teachers after school and on PD days to offer a variety of supports that we knew we needed. There were targeted ELD, differentiation, teach like a champion strategies, things like that. And then what we also did is we reached out to other companies that we knew that could provide some meaningful professional development. We connected with the Sacramento Area Science Project through Sac State to help work with our middle school science teachers. We had worked previously with this company at the elementary level to support stronger NGSS implementation. We brought in PE Central to work with our physical educators to help them understand the standards differently, unpack them, come up with some new ideas, and figure out how to engage students differently given the context. Like I mentioned before, Teach Like a Champion was a focus that has continued and will continue to go. And then at the middle school level, we really recognized as new administrators, we needed to do some relational capacity, relational building. And so we reached out and we held a CKH recharge training for our staff, just to start to get the ball rolling again on that and help Dr. Cassell and I connect better, but also help some of our teachers better support the socio-emotional needs of our students post-pandemic. And so those are just, the big things that we did throughout. We're always trying to think of targeted professional learning, but that's basically what I wanted to cover as it relates to our school implementation plan. Next, Michael Surdy is going to be up to discuss equity, diversity, and inclusion.
Thank you, Danny. Good evening, our amazing GC board. Good evening, our wonderful Dr. Cindy Peterson, Mr. Sample, Dr. McCormick, and also GC Central Office. It is a great honor and pleasure for me to be here today to talk about our school and all the things we do as a team. We do for our community. Speaking of equity, inclusion, and diversity, I would like to point out that our actions in the area of deepening our cultural competency are closely guided by the GCC Central Office, as well as our COA diversity plan. I would also like to take a moment and affirm Dr. Cindy Peterson for initiating this great work around diversity and inclusion. We started a few years ago, and also for her continuous passion and around this work and support. Okay, back to COA diversity plan. Our plan has been developed and refined through continuous open conversations with staff as well as other stakeholders, such as school site council, parents. Please note, we are not by any means where we wish we were, but we're aware of challenges and are not afraid of them. We have taken several meaningful steps this school year that include bringing outside speakers to talk about their experiences and also promoting diversity among staff through our hiring process. Additionally, we have expanded our offerings in the world language department by adding a Spanish program this school year and also refined our SEL approach. Again, as I mentioned before, we understand that moving or striving toward equity is a long-term journey and that we are in the beginning stages, but we're very excited to continue this work. And now I would like to invite Dr. Cassell to our conversation. She's going to talk about our success around parents and community engagement.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Michael Surdy. So COA has always excelled in parent and community participation. The slide lists some of the many things that we do, but I want to specifically highlight a few of them. First and foremost, it is such a pleasure to have our parents volunteer in many ways. One specific way is what you see on the picture. We had a campus beautification day where parents came out and made our campus beautiful. They cleaned, washed the campus, they planted bushes and flowers. Our parents are always willing to come and help as parents and schools go hand in hand. We are also continuing to participate in many community events, including visiting centers for refugees and helping incoming Ukrainian families and those that are facing hardship. Some visits, home visits, have played an important role for administrators. Families that are struggling financially, emotionally, or socially are visited and resources needed are provided. We have reached out to many vendors in the Sacramento area whom donated lots of school supplies, backpacks filled with supplies, as well as necessary supplies, including like grocery gift cards for those in need. I want to thank the central office staff, specifically Jason Sample, Sergi Cherepko, David Banuelos, and Maisha Britt for helping us find these resources and finances. Next slide. Next, I'm going to talk about the social emotional learning. Social emotional learning is vital this year, unlike any other year, as not only we return to in-person learning at full capacity post-pandemic, but also many of our students are affected by the war in Ukraine. For this reason, we did everything possible to support all stakeholders. As you know, we are fourth-year CKH Showcase School, as through CKH components, our students are self-managing, making responsible decisions, building relationship, and much more. Our staff is utilizing the CKH Premium website to help plan social emotional learning lessons and support our students day in and day out. As a school, every month we have a social emotional character trait that we plan all of our activities for that month around that trait. And these traits include such as empathy and teamwork are just examples. Once again, families and schools go hand in hand. Throughout the year, through various media, we have not only brought awareness of social emotional learning to our families, but we have given them specific ways and tools they can use at home to support their students socially and emotionally. Lastly, with the war in Ukraine, we are out in a community, visiting many community events, writing articles in community newspapers, and talking on radio about ways to support each other during this challenging time. I want to affirm Christine McCormick and Eric Crawford for sending a trauma team to COA Middle the very next day when the physical war on Ukraine began. And then we'll go back to Michael Sir to talk about impact.
Thank you, Tanya. Thank you. Can you guys hear me? Awesome, thank you. Okay, so this year we have seen the impacts of the work we put into our students' academic success in terms of raising achievement and test scores, as well as the impact of our work in the community and in diversifying our offerings. One of the most, I would say, striking examples of the successful integration of academic excellence, SEL, and equity at COA came in the area of enrollment. For instance, at the beginning of this school year, we had genuine concerns about our forecasted enrollment. We had virtually no students on our wait list at some point, and we're losing students to other schooling options, as well as other families rapidly moving out of state for multiple reasons. However, when we saw an increase in refugees and other immigrants coming in from Ukraine, the school started receiving calls from families. Some calls came from relatives of current students and staff who were planning to move to Sacramento. Others came from people who had just heard that we were a great school with a successful EL program, also that we cared about our students and that our students succeeded. People were trying to make sure that they had a spot at our school before they were even able to cross the Mexican border. And we definitely attribute that to the work we have done in reaching out to the community, supporting our staff, and also focusing on our children's all-around success in academics and beyond. As of right now, we have a wait list that grows on a weekly basis, and we have a new concern about possible facility expansion to accommodate all of this growth. And now I'm going to turn it over to our fabulous director, Mrs. Ganchar. She's going to wrap it up for us. Thank you.
We are so thankful for our school and the success we have had over the years, and we will strive to continue improving our school even more. We had a lot of plans for our school, and I would like to share some of them. So we are very excited about the possible purchase of the middle school facility. We will continue to focus on all of our English language learners achievements, especially with the recent influx of Ukrainian refugees. We will be focusing on expanding our after-school expanded learning program to serve all our students who are actually interested. We will continue to improve the elementary middle school continuum, and we'll continue to expand upon our excellence of community engagement. We are also very proud to offer TK in the 22-23 school year, and we'll continue to expand even further in the coming years. We will also spend lots of time on immigrants outreach and services in the communities of Ukrainian, Pakistan, and Afghanistan refugees. And next slide concludes our presentation, and I would like to once again thank you all for taking the time to hear us and for allowing us the privilege to serve our wonderful students and the community. And I would like to thank our great superintendent, Dr. Cindy Peterson, CBO, Ms. Amira, Deputy Superintendent, Mr. Semple, Assistant Superintendent, Dr. McCormick, for your endless support of our school. We really appreciate and love you too much. Thank you. If you have any questions for us, we will be more than happy to answer them for you now.
Thank you very much for the presentation. It was very enlightening. I really want to do a shout out for social emotional learning, because not only COVID, but everything else that's going on in the world. And I really want to highlight the fact that you're really doing, reaching out to people and teaching them more than just math. So Jack, I saw your hand up.
Yes, Larissa, to you and your staff, an excellent presentation. And congratulations on maintaining your enrollment, given the fact that the surrounding educational institutions are really struggling with maintaining enrollment because parents have so many other options now, or have discovered other options. And back to the refugees and the students that you're now receiving, are there anything additionally we would do with giving you support for the ESL population?
Thank you, Mr. Turner, for this question. And absolutely, we are working with Dr. Semple and Director Terepko on our plans how to reach out more and give more services and, to understand their needs. So every time we are meeting together and planning and thinking what else. So I think everything what we can, we are offering and planning for next year. Thank you for this question.
If I could insert as well, I think one of our biggest problems will be facility capacity. I think the need will far exceed our ability to house the number of students. And I know that Jason and I are trying to creatively think of any possible solutions that might expand our facility footprint. I do believe that COA has always been excellent at English learner services. But as I think Larissa alluded to, Mr. Terepkov, Mr. Sample, and the Community Engagement Department are really working to ensure that we're connected with all the community entities that provide services and support beyond educational services. And that will be our, I think, continued work as well. So for me, I'm not concerned about the academic instruction of ESL because of how great COA is at that. I am worried about footprint and complete wraparound services and knowing what's available and how to connect our refugee families up to what they need.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Peterson. And we will be exploring what kind of their needs and thinking about what else we can do and every little steps doing for them. So yeah, thank you.
Other board members' comments, questions? Again, thank you very much for your support during the year and presentation as well. And you're free to stay on and watch the rest of the board meeting, but we will understand if you have other things that are pressing.
Yeah, I definitely want to affirm Ms. Gonchar for her leadership, long-term dedication to our community and to excellence in serving our community and our students. But also, she spent a number of years building up Dr. Cassell and Michael Surde into the roles they have not fallen into, but stepped into. And again, also from their teacher to curriculum coach work, Nicole and Dr. Diego also just an incredible team. Has a little bit of growing to do, I think, still, but really have stepped into it this year. And we're so proud of this team, and also the strength of having a K-8 continuum that meets and wants that to be so matriculated and strong. I think that's a first, and just really want to affirm you for that.
Thank you, Cindy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That moves us into the consent agenda. And we have 7 items on the consent agenda, including the adoption of the board retreat minutes in the last meeting, personal consent agenda, purchases over $30,000, and a couple of revised job descriptions, including changing curriculum coach job description to instructional coach, activities coordinator, and for revised job description for paraeducators. We also have a revised salary schedule that enhances salaries for our employees based on projections from the state that there are going to be more funds available than were originally projected. So we're happy to include that on the agenda this evening. Are there questions from board members? Otherwise, I'll have Mr. Turner.
Well, I'll move the consent agenda. I do have a question about one of the items under the expenditures over $30,000.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Block. Okay, so you have a question, Jack?
Yes, under the $30,000 category, there's $152,000 for something called gig comb, whatever G. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. GIGIKOM. And I looked it up online, and I still don't really know what it is. So I guess I'm kind of asking for some information about what it is. It a hardware? Is it software? Is it I saw we were buying a lot of units. What is it?
I would hope that if it is technology related, that Dr. McCormick could help out. I don't have that item in front of me. Dr. McCormick, do you have the item?
I'm searching.
I can answer that question. The that vendor is to we're moving away from the server with Twin Rivers and moving onto our own server. And so that is the expense of buying our own server and some of the services that are required for that move. So if anybody wants to explain further the Twin Rivers server situation,
yeah, I would say, and probably Jack, you know this because you've been with us forever. We were in the beginning completely embedded in Grant Joint Union High School District technology. And then when Twin Rivers came into existence, stayed in that environment, but it wasn't necessarily as productive as it had previously been, and things started to change, and we started to define that relationship with Twin Rivers, which included new MOUs and new services and new amounts of money. And at some point there was a discussion on the importance of keeping them separate so that at any point in time we would be able to be independent if necessary and not be so embedded that we could not easily pull ourselves apart. We've used numerous vendors at different times to help us with this work, and I'm very confident that this is necessary in order for us to keep growing the integrity of our independence.
Yes, I certainly support the move that we become, as independent as we can from Twin Rivers. Given the amount of it, is it something in the future that we would put out to bid for these services? Or are there something that's very specific and there are only a few vendors that would provide this service?
It's not my understanding that these are ongoing amounts. This is not an ongoing
This is
expense.
a one-time, one-time expenses.
Thank you. I looked it up and as I said, I was trying to figure out what it was. Unusual name. Does it have any reference to something, or is it just something in the virtual world that they thought up?
It's the virtual world. It's all they do is do what it's called a divestiture. That's their own job. I didn't even know their name till you brought it up, but yeah, they're doing our divestiture.
Hey, other questions from board members? If not, we'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Block?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Campbell's not present, and I vote aye as well. That's a 4-0 vote.
And if I may, I just want to really ensure that we publicly call out number 7 as a significant investment the board and staff are making. We had already 2 board meetings ago agreed to a 2.5% increase, but the changing economics are really moving towards a stronger base for next year. And I really want to recognize that an additional 1%, now making it a 3.5% increase for next year, is one of the largest annual increases the board has across the board given. And I definitely want to be sure that those listening hear and understand your investment in wanting to support equity of salaries for our staff. So thank you for the decision.
Mr. Turner?
Yes, you had mentioned something at the last meeting that you had a job fair. How did that go? What's your sense of what's happening in the employment market for the teacher community?
I think we're still in a place of shortage in teachers, and we're in the dip. This is the history of teacher hiring, is up and down, up and down. Our job fair was successful in the sense that we made a few hires. We had a handful of people sign up, and a couple of those were actually hired. It wasn't as highly attended as we had hoped, but it was our first ever offering, and I think we will do more. We're certainly, I think we've seen a little bit of turnaround in like the paraeducator classified roles have started kind of filling up a little bit more, but teachers, we're seeing a lot of churn in the teachers field, people moving, people stepping in or out of teaching, and people taking jobs in different schools or districts. I just think it's still a bit of a churn space, Jack. I don't know. Dr. McCormick, do you see anything changing?
Not as of yet. I think the HR team felt they had some great conversations with staff. I do think there's a large movement to help support our classified staff become teachers in different ways to take those that are already working in our schools and value them that much more. So looking forward to seeing how that sort of plays out.
Absolutely. And we've already done some of that, right, with paraeducators.
Correct.
Moving into that. So certainly we're going to spend some more time in that area, Jack.
Thank you.
Okay, seeing no more hands, that moves to curriculum instruction. This item A to G, improved grant plans. We had a public hearing on this last time and had discussion at the board level. Are there any other questions? Otherwise, entertain a motion to approve this item. Is there a motion to approve item 9? Or do you want? Mr. Block, approve, moved. Is there a second? I would second the item to move it along. Any questions, any additional discussion needed here? If not, we'll move to a roll call vote. Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Block,
Yes.
Mr. Turner,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Ms. Campbell's not present. Very good. That brings us down to board comments. Comments from the board. If Mr. Turner.
As always, I really appreciate the presentations by our staff, and really how proud we can be of a Gateway Community Charters. It's just the data jumps out at you, and certainly the educational and cultural aspects of it, as have been commented on, are just are something that should be the envy, I think, of any of the educational institutions in the Sacramento area, or even in California, or the nation, and maybe the world, who knows, but I'm just really proud of what they presented.
And Jack, we thank you for your service as our longest standing board member. That has been a real dedication. We appreciate that.
Thank you. I appreciate the comment. Thank you.
Okay, we are now going to move into closed session. It's closed session on pending litigation. And staff can wave the magic wand and move us into closed session.
Yes, Miss So does anyone know where Mr. Block is?
He should be returning here shortly.
There he is. There he is.
There we go.
Okay.
Okay, we are back in open session. There was no action taken in closed session. Announcement of next board meeting.
The next board meeting is going to be May 24th, and it's going to be at 1:30 p.m., which is not normal time, but we've made an adjustment.
Okay. Any other closing comments? And thanks staff for a good board meeting and some really good presentations this evening. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Anderson. I heard that.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.